16 collar, removable collar, because afterwards it looks large, you know. And the point of evening wear is that it should look as formal and tight and stiff as possible. So it has a big gap there. This is typical of British collars, especially that it has this horizontal slit in the back. And since it does not have the opening, this is clearly more of a 30s or at least 20s collar, and not even a 1910s collar, which is also proven by the more post-modern rather than late modern looking font. So obviously I've not wear it with that collar. I have another collar which is much older, the 1890s or max 1910 collar, which I have made a post on. I heavily starched it as a standard collar, although it was actually a folded collar, so I will wear that with the evening shirt. This I shall wear here. But you see, if turned up, it looks very formal. If it was starched, it will look like a very formal sort of late Victorian gapped, rounded, less formal imperial collar, or it could even be taken down like this for an even less formal style, but more formal still than the folded style. So this is beyond great. And as you see, it's interesting. In that shirt, the reinforcement here passes below until the armpit there, because generally this is where there is a lot of strain, right? Especially from the braces sitting on top here. And the next strain from the braces is upon the shoulders, but there is a yoke, 2-ply yoke, that this is protected by the yoke. They did not get the full extent of having that reinforcement pass all the way through, because the only manner to have that fit comfortably would be to have it made to measure, very well made to measure, which obviously actually I don't think was made to measure. So, but at least you have it in the front, whereby this is the most important, since even if there's a hole and it requires an attachment in the back, people observe the back less, even if you also find himself without even a waistcoat. And since there is quite a lot of gathering in the back, the patch would get lost more easily than in the front, where there's barely any gathering. The only gathering in the front is at the tails. See, there's not much draping in the front. So this is just great. But see, on all the models they used to do the reinforcement like so. This is already an improvement, because they probably noticed that actually most of the strain was also from the coat who was hitting there. So rather than go like so, which is a bit useless here, they went like so. So this is still reinforced, and that, which barely needed it, is no longer, and also it added more bulk, and it only tended to, especially with starch, with the braces, to pull the starched bosom like so, and thus have it protrude forward, which looked ugly. So the whole point was that to trying to offer an evening shirt that still looked great even when heavily starched, and even when the person sat, was great as it could, like as if it had been properly made to measure, although it had not been properly made to measure, and it had to fit many people, and thus they offered more sizes and spend more time, and thus it costed more, but not quite as much as going made to measure. Especially if one wanted it to fit properly, it had to be the minimum expensive made to measure, whereby it would take a lot of measurements, perhaps do at least one fitting, and so on and so forth. So that shirt is absolutely great. British, 1890s probably. It could be 1890s, or it could be early 1900s, and British. So that is obviously not upper class, because an actual upper class person, so not upper middle class, but actual upper class, would in all likelihood have it made to measure. But perhaps, you know, if he was impoverished, so not poor, but, you know, gentile poverty, as they used to say, he might, since in that day it had much better, like so, of the rack shirts, he might have purchased something like that. because this was the best that one could get off the rack back then. Really the best on... Even in the US they probably didn't know better than that. But if they did anywhere better off the rack, it would have been the US, not... But back then, it was not... You could not order something from the US and have it delivered to Britain, I mean, you barely had telephones, so forget that. So, you would have required to take a ticket to a boat there. It would have costed indubitably less to have even the best of the best Metromagic in England, rather than going all the way to the US just to get the best of the rack, which obviously would not compare to the best Metromagic. So, I will take that as an opportunity to just display nice T.C. Adams books I was talking about yesterday. They're clearly very flat, you see, compared to latest looking original books, and the leather looks very plasticky. So, and also I'm not, my evening trousers, since the days from the 1910s and I had probably meant for a shorter person, they still look quite short. I do not want to show socks, they did not really do that in the 1890s. That was later on in the 1910s, late 1910s. So, if anything, I want higher ones that sit higher. So, I have to look for all that. See, I forgot to talk about that yesterday of the JP Morgan sheds. The JP Morgan sheds all have, I think all of them have, especially the ones meant to take a removable collar, they all have a split yoke. It's an actual yoke made of two different sides, panels. And this is very rare nowadays, and these are modern or max 20-year-old sheds. Just like that one, because this was the common way of doing it, even for off-the-rack sheds. I guess even, except for the cheapest ones. So also this would have been, if it is off-the-rack, I'm quite sure it is off-the-rack. This was the highest grade of the rack, especially for Britain, so they would always never have a split yoke. It is just better. Also it means that if one part of the yoke wears out fast, they could always take it out more easily to replace this one part and all. It sits better upon the shoulders, it has less of a tendency to ride up. See, this one is not the highest grade of the rack shed, especially if it is from later on in the 1940s, and it still has a split yoke. But also it has no tie loop, and the buttons are quite cheap plastic, because also by the 1940s they have probably 7 grades of the rack sheds, whereas in the 1890s or early 1900s probably max 4, I would say. Max 4 different types of brands that catered from the lowest grade to the highest grade, like so. The shed I had from the 1891, it was a clearly lower grade cloth, no tie loop, no bosom tab. It was meant also targeted a lower society, a lower class of people with less money, because the cars were clearly meant to take removable cars like these. So, and it had less gathering in the back, so also it requires more cloth, it was also longer. So all of that means it is meant to, it costs way more, but then it has more longevity, it fits more comfortably, because it costs more because it requires more cloth for it to be longer and to have more gathering. It was also an older shed from 1891, and the other one was even older from 1881. So, very interesting thing. Yes, a collar in that style would not be that cutaway, and if it was that cutaway from the 1890s or early 1900s, it would then be so informal, considered so informal, that surely it would either be very short, especially from the early 1890s, or a higher band actually, because everything was higher. I would talk about that in the color videos, but these are fairly minute differences. Also the difference of the slit in the back is even more minor, especially if one is bound to wear it with a coat, it can't even be seen. So at least not on a collar back short. So obviously when starched and wet, even an expert like I would have an extreme difficult time even being able to tell, is that an 1890s collar or is it